Hi, I'm Mitch Gallagher. Welcome to Sweetwater's iOS update. This time out, a new pad controller and step sequencer from Arturia. Let's get started. This is the Arturia BeatStep, a combination of a pad controller and a step sequencer that also offers extensive MIDI control capabilities. At its most simple, the BeatStep basically sends out a MIDI note for each of these pads that you hit. You can switch among different scales. You can do major scale, chromatic scale, a Dorian mode. You can switch to a blues scale. So lots of capability here for programming those. You can even create user scales if you like. You can adjust the velocity that's sent when you hit the pads. And these control knobs can be assigned to send MIDI controller numbers, so you can use those to adjust parameters as you're working with your synthesizers. All of these configurations are assignable, and you can create 16 different setups that you can store to the pad and instantly recall by hitting the recall switch and then selecting a pad on the BeatStep itself. In addition to being a pad controller, BeatStep can also be a step sequencer. When we click the control sequence button, the knobs all turn blue, and these tell us that the steps are all active. So we can change our sequence by simply turning off pads, hit the play button, and then we use the control knobs up here to set the pitch that we're sending out for each of those steps. So it's very much like working with a step sequencer in an analog synthesizer. To get to the exact pitch that you want, you stop playback of the sequence, and as you turn the knob, the note will be sent out. So you can find the exact pitches that you want for your step sequences as you're creating them. Now, an obvious application for BeatStep is to pair it with an analog synthesizer app. Here I've got iMIDI from Arturia, but you could load up any app that you want that'll communicate by USB, and you'll be able to control it from the BeatStep pads or from the knobs. Where BeatStep also shines is when you pair it with a drum application. Here we've got Boom 808 loaded up on the iPad, and it creates analog drum type sounds. Now we can control it either from the step sequencer or using the pads independently. With the step sequencer, we simply use it exactly as we did with the analog synthesizer. We can turn steps on and off, adjust the sounds that each pad is playing. And we can control the tempo of our step sequence using a large encoder knob here at the top. We can also use BeatStep as a straight-ahead MIDI controller. Each of the pads sends out a MIDI note number. So if we go into control mode and we simply hit a pad, a note is sent out that triggers a sound inside the app, and each of the pads is assigned to a different sound. This allows you to play the pads in real time, or you can use it as a MIDI controller to record into the app sequencer. In addition to being compatible with your iOS devices, here I'm using the Apple Camera Kit to connect it up by USB. You can connect it directly to your Mac or PC as well. In that case, you can get CV out for running older analog type synthesizers, and you can also get a MIDI out for controlling more modern synthesizers. So this really is a very versatile box that can do a lot of things for your studio. I hope you've enjoyed this installment of Sweetwater's iOS update. Be sure to tune in next time. We'll have more apps, more hardware accessories, and more tech tips on making music with your iOS devices. I'm Mitch Gallagher.